Hi, this is Sarah Sefton. This is my response to the article about Google being the world's biggest censor. Um, First point would be Google has nearly a monopoly on search engine capabilities to begin with. They said that Bing had, I think it was less than a third of the accessibility that Google has due to their technology. Now, since they've just developed better technology in order to create their search engine, that's less of a problem. Other companies are still able to work on that technology and develop that. So it's not a true monopoly in that way. However, their ability to censor and their power in doing so does create a lot of huge problems. From the individuals at the company having that power to do so, and the company as a whole empowering their employees to use the different tools that they have in order to censor certain websites is very troubling information. Potter talks a lot about media messages as opposed to the absence of media messages or unavailability of certain messages. To me, this is the same thing as lie by omission, the same thing as creating negative messages or promoting specifically certain messages. The same effect is had by removing opposing messages from the equation. It's the same as promoting certain things to eliminate the other things. You're essentially promoting them by creating no alternative viewpoints. By reducing these sources, they're creating a lack of choice for the consumer of the messages. So that's obviously troubling as well. We want to have as much power as we can to select what inputs we receive and determine their usefulness. And likewise, we want to have access to as many sources as possible in order to make those decisions. One connection that I made was the news blacklist that they talked about, that they can blacklist certain news sources that they don't agree with or that they think are inappropriate for whatever reason, and those reasons being entirely up to them and not to the consumer. So if I was able to go into Google and say, I do not want news sourced from a media company that I've decided is inappropriate for me, that does not align with what I deem to be correct information or complete information, then that's one thing. But for Google to make that decision for me is a serious problem for the same reasons that I've already discussed. It just limits your diversity in your sources and removes the choice completely from the consumer, which is pretty upsetting. As far as my PLE, I did have Google on mine. I had Google Drive specifically, but certainly Google is the way that I find anything out. Just this morning I was on the phone with my mom and she couldn't find out about an event at her local library in Arizona. And I said, well, just look it up on Google. And I could have looked it up for her. Everything is on Google. That's just the way that we do things. I still have my sources of collection, but in the interest of increasing my media literacy, I've been exploring finding alternative news sources. I rely mostly on NPR through podcasts and through listening on my radio. And I have decided that I need to start to diversify. Now, if I choose to go to Google in order to collect my new sources that I'd like to start using, I don't know that I am getting all of the sources available to me because of their malware flags that they decide when to place and their other blacklisting abilities. So that's something that I'm definitely going to have to go sort of to the drawing board on. I get the local news. I'll still continue to use NPR, but how I find alternative sources is something that I'm going to have to continue to consider. The other search engines are not as effective. They don't have as many cached websites, so they don't have access when you search for something to find certain websites or certain news sources that may be helpful to me. So that's definitely something that I'll have to continue to revisit when I think about my own PLE. Thank you.